Chosen one, something happened in your life that you were not present to witness when it occurred. Not a prayer answered in a moment you were awake for. Not a breakthrough that arrived with announcement. Something far quieter than that. Something that formed at the level where destiny is actually built, in the accumulated weight of every day. You stayed faithful when no one with eyes could track what was happening in you. In that season, through every hour you remained, when leaving would have been the reasonable choice. Through every version of yourself you released, so that a truer version could take root, you crossed a threshold. Heaven had set a level for this season of your life. A specific standard, a measured ceiling. And what was built in you during those hidden years grew past it. You did not reach the divine level. You surpassed it. And the thing that makes this extraordinary, the thing I need you to receive today, is that this surpassing was not in the original design. Not fully. Heaven itself had not mapped exactly what you would become. You are here for a specific reason. This word was arranged for you. Stay with me, because what comes after the surpassing changes everything. Before we go any further, I want to tell you what this message holds, because I want you to stay for all of it. By the time we reach the end, you will have 5 things clearly named, 5 signs in your own life that have always been proof you were operating at a higher level than the world could see. You will understand exactly why the seasons that cost you the most were not punishment, but precision. You will receive permission that I believe you have been waiting a long time for. And before this message closes, I am going to speak something over your life that I believe was placed here specifically for you, for this moment. Everything in this message is yours. Just stay to the end. Now, everything I am going to share with you today is free, and that is the only way I want it. If, at any point, as we go through this, your spirit tells you there is more, something practical, something to carry into the days ahead, you will find it in the description and the pinned comment below. Do not look for it now. Stay here first. We have something important to get to together. Let me start with what I want to call evidence. Not the kind of evidence you can hold or photograph, the kind that lives in the texture of your days, in the things that happen to you and inside you, that the people around you cannot explain, and that you have perhaps long since stopped trying to explain to them. I want to name 5 of these, and as I name them, I simply want you to notice whether you recognize them in your own life. The first is a tiredness that sleep does not fix. Not the tiredness of someone who has been physically overworked. Something deeper than that. A weariness that lives in the bones more than the muscles, persistent and quiet and present even after a full night of rest. You wake up, and it is still there, sitting in the background of your days, familiar and not fully explainable by the ordinary demands of your life. Most people who carry this interpret it as burnout. And some of it is burnout, yes. But there is a layer beneath the burnout that burnout cannot account for. It is the weight of someone carrying something too large in a container that was built for something ordinary. You are not depleted, chosen one. You are overfull, and overfull is a completely different problem, one that does not resolve with rest, because the issue is not what has been taken from you. It is what has not yet been released through you. The second sign is something I want you to sit with carefully. Have you noticed that spaces which once felt comfortable have begun to feel confining? Not just physically in conversation, in social environments, in the kinds of rooms you used to inhabit for hours without cost that now drain you within minutes. People you once felt genuinely at ease with now seem to be speaking a slightly different language than the one you have been learning. And you have probably wondered, in those quiet moments, whether something is wrong with you, whether you have become too sensitive, too withdrawn, somehow less than you once were. I want to be direct with you. You have not lost anything. You have grown past the dimensions of the container you were once in, and the container is letting you know. The third sign lives in a restlessness that does not quite fit the word restless. It is more like urgency, an internal pressure towards something you cannot fully name, something that feels like it is trying to come through you rather than simply from you. You sense it at quiet moments. When the noise stops, when the house empties out, and you sit still long enough to hear what is underneath the surface of the routine. This is not aimlessness. This is not anxiety searching for a target. This is the arrow sensing the direction it was released toward and growing restless in the stillness before the next movement. The fourth sign is one that may be harder to admit out loud, but I want you to think honestly about whether it applies to you. There have been moments, and perhaps many of them, where you knew something before you could explain how you knew it, not dramatically, quietly. You knew the direction to move before the logic confirmed it. You knew what a person was carrying before they said it. You knew the outcome of a situation before it resolved. And you were right not every time, but consistently enough that you have learned to trust it even when you cannot explain it. This is not casual intuition. This is the operating frequency of someone who has been prepared through the exact kind of formation you have been through, for a level of discernment that most people are never required to develop. And the fifth sign, and this one I want you to stay with, is in the timing. The way the right person, the right word, the right open door has appeared in your life at the exact moments that mattered most. Not in every area, not on demand, but at the precise pivot points. Something was there, something turned, something aligned. When there was no ordinary reason for it to align. You have perhaps called it luck or coincidence or being in the right place at the right time. Today, I want you to consider a different possibility. Heaven does not waste coordination on ordinary assignments, chosen one. The precision of your timing is evidence of the level of the assignment you carry. This is not anxiety. This is not exhaustion. This is not aimlessness. This is not luck. These 5 things in the bones, in the spaces, in the urgency, in the knowing, in the timing, are not the signs of a person in trouble. They are the signature of an arrow in flight. Heaven drew the bow, set the direction, released with precision, and the arrow, which is you, has already flown past the mark that was set. If any of these signs describe where you are right now, type 777 inches, the comments. Let that number mark this moment. Let it stand as your confirmation. I see it. But I need to show you something more. Because knowing the signs only tells you what you carry. It does not tell you what was being built in you while you were carrying it. And that second truth is larger than anything I just said. Stay with me. I want to go back, not far, just to the place in your story that still carries weight when you revisit it. The season or the seasons that asked more of you than you felt you had. The years where the effort was invisible and the return was nowhere in sight. The relationships that ended and left you with questions you couldn't answer cleanly. The plans that built and then fell apart without explanation. The silence that stretched long enough that you began, in the quietest moments, to wonder whether you had misheard the calling altogether. I want to go back to those places, not to reopen anything, but to show you something that was happening there that you could not see from inside it. What felt like abandonment was actually isolation for a purpose. What felt like delay was actually calibration. What felt like silence was actually construction. What felt like loss was actually subtraction. the careful removal of everything that would have placed a ceiling on what you were being built to carry. You were not being punished. You were not being forgotten. You were not behind. You were being formed. There is a word in ancient Hebrew, gadal. It does not translate neatly into a single English word. Its meaning is something like this: to become great, to grow beyond what was originally planted, to surpass the container, not by striving, by becoming, by the kind of rooted growth that cannot be accelerated, because the depth of the root system is what determines how high the elevation can safely reach. I want to tell you about a woman who gadaled. Her name was Deborah, and I want you to hear her story not as ancient history, but as a mirror for your own. She was not supposed to be the one who went to battle. That assignment belonged to the generals and the armies. But Deborah had been through a formation that the generals had not. Years of it, years of listening when others were speaking, years of carrying the weight of what she perceived in the unseen, while the visible world continued on, without recognizing what was accumulating in her. And when the moment arrived, what she had become was simply too large for the role that had been prepared for her position. The assignment expanded to match what the formation had produced. What she gadaled, and what she carried permanently redirected the course of a nation. That is not ancient history, chosen one. That is the pattern, and that pattern is your story. Now, I want you to receive something. I want to give it to you, not as my words, but as something older than this voice. Something I believe is being spoken over the season you have been through. I hear this being said: I did not design the wilderness to diminish you. I designed it because what I was building in you required the dark. The isolation was not punishment, it was precision. What you called delay, I called calibration. What you called silence, I called construction. The formation was never separate from the surpassing. They were always the same movement. And what you became in the hidden season grew beyond what I had written as the first draft of your assignment. I want to pause here, not to continue teaching, just to acknowledge something. You have been walking through something that most people step back from. Not because the hardest parts are over necessarily, but because, in the most private moments when nothing was confirming you were right to keep going, when no one with eyes could see what was accumulating in you, you stayed. That decision, made quietly, repeated without witness, without applause, is the most powerful evidence in your life of what you carry. Take one breath, just one. Not to do anything with it, just to mark this moment. Because what comes next is the part of this message that recontextualizes everything, and it is the reason this word was arranged for you at this specific time. There is a moment in every chosen person's journey that happens without announcement. No external confirmation, no visible shift in the circumstances, no sign in the world around you to mark that something fundamental has changed in the unseen. From the outside, the day of that crossing looks like any other day. The calendar continues. The obligations remain. The people around you remain unaware. But in the record that heaven keeps, the one that cannot be altered and cannot be erased, a threshold has been crossed. There is a man in the ancient record named Elisha. He knew about surpassing. Not in the abstract, in the most personal way imaginable. When his teacher, the prophet Elijah, was about to leave this world, Elisha made a request that most people would have considered unreasonable. He did not ask for safety or continuity or the preservation of what he already had. He asked for the double portion. Twice the anointing, twice what his teacher had carried, and the Spirit granted it. Elisha went on to perform twice the number of miracles that Elijah had performed. He did not simply continue the legacy, he surpassed it. He surpassed the ceiling that had been set by the highest human example he had ever been given. The pattern in that story is the same pattern I have been describing to you throughout this message. Heaven sets a level. The formation deepens the chosen one beyond what the level can hold. And what emerges requires the exact sequence of experience that preceded it. Not a shortcut, not an easier path, but the full weight of the formation that makes the surpassing possible. I want to share something with you. Someone who walked through a formation season not unlike the one I have been describing. When that season ended, when the circumstances began to shift, when the fruit of the hidden years began to surface, they found themselves doing something unexpected. They kept minimizing it. Every time someone reflected back to them the level they were now operating at, they deflected. Every time the evidence of something significant accumulated in their life, they found a reason to explain it away. And they were not doing this from genuine humility. They were doing it because they had not yet given themselves permission to inhabit the surpassing. They had been in survival mode for so long that flourishing felt foreign, like wearing clothes that belonged to someone else, like standing in a room that kept asking whether you had the right to be there. And it took a very specific moment, the day they finally stopped apologizing for what they had become, stopped shrinking back to the dimensions of the container they had outgrown, and simply stood in it for the true assignment to begin. I tell you that story because I want to ask you something before we go to the deepest layer of this message. How much of your time has been spent at the threshold of what you have become close to it, but not quite fully across? How long have you been standing at the edge of inhabiting it fully? Stay with me, because before this message closes, I am going to speak something over your life, and I want you to be fully ready to receive it when we get there. The arrow flew past the target, chosen one. Heaven has recalibrated the distance, and that recalibration is not a correction, it is a confirmation. The new map is larger than the old one, because what you have become requires more space than the original design had provided for. Before I show you the final and deepest layer, I want to share something practical, something that connects directly to everything we have been walking through today. Among the chosen ones, I have seen navigating this kind of formation, the surpassing, the threshold crossing, the question of how to inhabit a new level of assignment. There is one thing I have consistently seen help with the practical side of that inhabiting. There is an audio track called The Genius Song. It works with the frequency of the brain, with what neuroscience calls the gamma state, to recalibrate the operating level of the mind back toward what it was born with, before the world imposed a ceiling on it. 7 minutes a day, through headphones. I want to explain the science behind this in a few minutes, because it connects directly to everything we have been discussing today. If you are curious before I get there, the details are in the description and the pinned comment, but stay with me first. Because the reason this matters is something I have not yet fully shown you. Before I can show you the final truth, and I will show it to you, because it is the reason this entire message was built toward, there is one more layer I need you to understand first. Without this next part, everything I have said so far will only reach the surface of what I want it to reach in you. Stay with me for the next few minutes. This is the part that changes what every other part means. Here is the truth that recontextualizes everything I have said today. You were not designed to reach the level that was set for you. You were designed to shatter it. Reaching was never the assignment. The formation was never designed to produce a person who could handle the standard. It was designed to produce a person who would exceed it, who would, through the specific weight of what they endured, grow into something that exceeded the original blueprint entirely. The arrow was not aimed at the target. The arrow was the point. The target was only the direction of the release. Heaven drew the bow, set the course, and released you into a trajectory that was never going to stop at the mark. Now, I want to name something that I believe is present with some of you right now. Because we have been talking about surpassing and elevation and threshold crossings, and there is a specific feeling that can arrive alongside all of that. And it does not feel like triumph. It feels like fear. The fear of standing fully in what you have become. The fear of inhabiting the complete dimensions of the assignment. The quiet, persistent voice that says, "What if I step into this fully and I reveal, through the commitment, that I was wrong about myself? What if I was not actually what this is describing?" I want to speak directly to that fear, right now. That fear is not a warning that you are disqualified. It is evidence that you understand the weight of what you are being asked to carry. The people who crashed at elevation did not have that fear because they did not have the awareness of the weight. Your fear is the signature of wisdom, not the signature of failure. And I need you to hear that clearly before we go any further. I want to give you something. I want to give you permission. You are allowed to operate at the level you have been formed for. You are allowed to stop minimizing the surpassing and start inhabiting it. You are allowed to release fully, without guilt, the people and places and patterns that were built for a different register than the one you are now standing in. You are allowed to protect what was built in you during the formation, without explaining the protection to anyone who asks. And you are allowed to stop apologizing for carrying something that the people around you were not designed to recognize. That is not arrogance. That is the fidelity the assignment requires. Now, I want to give you something practical to carry with you out of this message. The first thing is this: acknowledge the surpassing out loud, not in your head, in your actual voice, in private, in a moment when only you can hear it. Say the words, "I have surpassed the level that was set for me. I am now in territory that was not on the original map, and I am not going back." This is not performance. This is the act of bringing your spoken identity into alignment with what has already occurred in the unseen. The second thing is this: when the minimizing voice returns, and it will return, because it has had a long time to practice, name it the moment it arrives. Just name it. That voice is not your voice. It is the residue of the container you outgrew. You do not need to fight it. You only need to stop mistaking it for truth. And the third thing is this: measure yourself against the assignment, not against the expectations of those who were built for a different level. Their timeline is not your timeline. Their ceiling is not your ceiling. The only question that matters now is whether you are moving in alignment with what was confirmed in the formation. You are the ceiling breaker. You are the one appointed beyond the appointment. You are the carrier of the double portion. You are the chosen one who surpassed the standard that was set, and heaven recalibrated the distance to match what you have become. And then I want you to receive this, not as my words, as something that I believe is being spoken over you in this moment. I hear this being said: I did not set a ceiling for you, expecting you to remain beneath it. I set it to give the formation a direction. When you broke through it, I did not look down in disappointment. I recalibrated, not because you did something wrong, but because what you became required a larger map. You were always the arrow I released past the mark, and the mark was never the destination. It was only the beginning of the trajectory. The assignment that begins now on the other side of the surpassing is larger than anything the first season could have contained. Stand in it. Inhabit it fully. It is yours, not because you earned it by striving, but because you became it by enduring, and that is the most sacred kind of qualification there is. Type the words I receive in the comments right now. Let those 2 words be your agreement with what was just spoken over you. I want to step back from the height of what I just said and give you something grounded, something plain. Because before I give you the next piece, I want to make sure what we covered today has actually landed not just as feeling, but as understanding you can carry. Here is what we walked through. You saw 5 signs in your own life that are not evidence of a person in trouble. They are the evidence of a chosen one operating at a level that ordinary timelines cannot track. You understood why the hardest seasons of your life were not delay or punishment, but precision, the exact kind of formation required to produce what you have become. You heard the stories of Deborah and Elisha, 2 people who carried the same pattern you are carrying, and who emerged from their formation as something larger than what was originally written for their assignment. And you received permission to stop minimizing the surpassing and start inhabiting it fully. That is not a small amount to carry. Let it settle in you before we go further. What I want to share next connects directly to all of this, to the frequency question, to the operating level, to the practical question of how you keep the instrument calibrated for what comes next. Dr. Lake spent 34 years studying one specific question. He wanted to understand why a small and specific subset of people seem to operate at a level of clarity, intuition, and capacity that the majority of adults simply do not have consistent access to. His research, conducted with teams at MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and several other leading research institutions, eventually mapped the answer. There is a specific frequency of brain activity called the gamma state that every child enters this world carrying naturally. It is the frequency associated with deep intuition, extraordinary pattern recognition, the kind of knowing that processes information faster than conscious logic can explain. Children are born with it, but the world suppresses it systematically, through the pressure to conform, through the accumulated weight of stress and survival patterns that the brain develops in response to a world that does not honor the frequency it was born with. By around age 7, most adults have lost meaningful access to what they were born carrying. Dr. Lake called this the decline effect, not a disease, not a defect, an imposed ceiling. And here is what is directly relevant to everything we have discussed today. The people who go through the kind of formation you have been through, the wilderness seasons, the isolation for a purpose, the stripping of false identity, the rooted growth in the dark, they do not lose access to the gamma frequency. The very pressure that was supposed to suppress it preserved it instead. In many cases, the specific weight of the formation amplified it. What neuroscience measures as extraordinary operating capacity, the divine has always called the surpassing. The Genius Song is a 7-minute audio track that Dr. Lake developed using a technology called brain entrainment. You listen through headphones. The specific frequency embedded in the audio guides the brain back toward the gamma state, the state it was born with, before the decline effect imposed its ceiling, 7 minutes each day. No prior meditation experience required. No preparation. The shift is measurable, and it begins from the first listen. 18,366 people have now used it. The refund rate is under 4%. I share those 2 numbers together because together they say something important. The overwhelming majority of those who try this do not return it because what they experience is real. With the Genius song, you also receive 4 things at no additional cost. An audio track called Genius Child, calibrated for children before the decline effect takes hold, a $19 value on its own. The original book that the film The Secret drew its core principles from, the one on real wealth, principles that most people never discover, $20 on its own. A 22-minute guided visualization walking through 4 areas of life: love, finances, health, and purpose, valued at $29. And a practical infographic on the 5 daily habits of those who maintain gamma activation long-term, valued at $12. That is $80 in additional material, included at no extra cost. The standard price for the Genius song is $49. For those receiving it through the link in the description and the pinned comment, the price is $39. That price is not available on Amazon or through any other source, only through the link below. I want to mention briefly that there is also a companion resource called Destiny's Embrace for those who are navigating a significant life transition. The information for that is also in the description, if you feel drawn to it. I must also say this plainly. Because of how this product is distributed, counterfeits do exist. They carry the wrong frequency, the wrong production quality, and they will not produce what Dr. Lake's research built. The only way to protect yourself is to access the Genius song exclusively through the link in the description and the pinned comment below. And the guarantee is unconditional. You may listen as many times as you want before requesting a refund. There is no condition on that promise. If your spirit resonates with what I have described, if something in you says yes to the idea of calibrating the instrument to match the elevation you have been built for, you will find it there, waiting for you. Only if you feel genuinely led. This is an invitation, not a demand. Before we close, I want to do one thing with you. Stay exactly where you are. You do not need to move. Bring to mind the version of you that walked through the formation season, the one who stayed faithful in the hidden years when nothing was confirming you were right to keep going. Let that person come into your awareness for a moment, and from where you are standing now, on the other side of what they endured, thank them, in your mind, or out loud, if you are alone. Because that version of you is the reason you are standing at the level you are standing at right now. Now, picture the arrow, the one we have been talking about throughout this message. See it released from the bow. Watch it fly past the mark that was set. Watch it continue past the ceiling into territory that had not been mapped, into the assignment that required the entire formation to prepare for. That arrow is you. It is still in flight. And what comes next in that trajectory is not a return to what was. It is the beginning of everything the formation was building you toward. Now, let us close this well. I want to take a moment, before I close, to acknowledge what you walked through today. You came here carrying the weight of a season that asked more of you than you had, the tiredness that sleep cannot fix, the spaces that no longer fit, the urgency towards something not yet fully named. You came here with all of that, and you stayed. That matters. You matter. And now I want you to do one thing. Picture the ceiling that was set for your season. See it clearly. And without force, without effort, just let it fall. It was never your permanent address. It was only where the formation happened. It has served its purpose. And it is time to release it. Release it now. It is done. And I want to speak something over you before you go. Not as my words, as the declaration that this entire message has been building toward. You are the ceiling breaker. You are the one appointed beyond the appointment. The formation in you has produced something larger and truer and more equipped than anything the first season could have held. The threshold is crossed. The assignment has expanded to match what you have become, and the path that begins now on the other side of the surpassing is already in motion. Stand in it. Inhabit it fully. It is yours, and so it is. You are not alone in this. Right now, across this world, chosen ones are going through this same shift, surpassing what was set for them, learning to stand in the elevation, beginning the assignment that was waiting on the other side of the formation. You are among them. You have never been walking this alone. If this message arrived at the right time, if something in you shifted today, I want to ask you to do one thing right now. Type the words, "I am ready," in the comments, not as a wish, as a declaration. You have surpassed the level. You are ready for what comes next. Let the Spirit seal it through the words you speak. If this message carried weight for you today, press the like before you go. Not for this space, for the chosen one who is in this same season right now and has not yet heard this. Your action carries it further than you can see. That is an act of generosity in the Spirit. And if someone comes to mind right now, someone who has been unusually quiet lately, someone who no longer fits in spaces they once inhabited with ease, someone going through a shift they cannot explain to the people around them, share this with them. You do not need to say anything when you send it. Just let the message speak. They will know it was arranged for them. If you want more of what this message carried, stay connected to this space. There is more coming for the ones who are walking this season. Subscribe so that what comes next finds you when it arrives. What I want to leave you with is this. You did not just listen to something today, you received something. Carry it forward into everything that comes next.